Many thanks. Je vais parler en français, donc pour
the representative of the EDCTP program, Honorable Ambassador Coll, ladies and gentlemen, representatives of the EU, Madam President, Chair of the General Assembly of EDCTP, the Executive Director, ladies and gentlemen representing international organization, honorable guests. I will come back to it, but at the outset, I would like to apologize on behalf of the Senegalese because there are events today in our country that compelled us to postpone the forum, but we insisted that we have a high-level ministerial level as a token of our commitment to EDCTP. 10 years ago, a partnership program between Europe and Africa called EDCTP was launched following a joint decision between the European Parliament and the European Commission. The official launching of this initiative was in Dakar in February 2004 in the same venue. Senegalese high officials were in attendance, as well as high-level researchers, and I remember Mr. Pascoal Mocumbi, the President Prime Minister of Mozambique, Mr. Mocumbi, and dear colleague, I would like to express to you my deep appreciation for having worked with you and for the work that you still do for Africa. You are really a pride for Africa, and I would like to commend you for your achievements. So 2004 was important in the launch of the response against malaria, TB, and HIV in Africa. A lot has been done in the fight against these three diseases, and all of you should be proud of what we achieved. Since then, Senegal has hosted several meetings of coordination meetings of African scientists, as well as site visits funded by the program. Therefore, on behalf of Senegal, I would like to express my deep appreciation for your confidence and trust, and in particular to the members of the General Assembly, to the Executive Secretariat, and the different partnership committees that are committed to phase 2 of EDCTP. We are through the first phase. Internal and external reviews have highlighted the contribution of EDCTP in the diseases that I have mentioned. This is the reason why the different partners have decided to launch a more ambitious second phase. In the preparation of this phase, Senegal welcomed in June 2013 meetings of two excellence hubs the WEMTAM and the CANTAM. These meetings were opened to ministers of health of Central and West Africa, as well as to research institutes. Today, with the active participation of African ministers of health, research, science, and
engagement politique et en même temps une contribution.
Token of our political will and our contribution to EDCTP2. Unfortunately, we are in difficult circumstances for the country, as Senegal is welcoming an ECOWAS summit at the same time. Therefore, the forum that was initially scheduled was postponed. Ladies and gentlemen, in spite of this inconvenience that we deeply regret, I would once again renew the commitment of Senegal through the President of the Republic to fully participate in EDCTP2. Following the first high-level conference that was held in Cape Town in November 2012, the second meeting should enhance our preparedness to shoulder our rights and responsibilities within the framework of this partnership. To do so, we must identify the weaknesses of our participation in EDP1 as Africans, find ways and means to enhance collaboration and cooperation between Africa and Europe, but also between Africans. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to express my appreciation to all participants who traveled to Dakar, welcome them in Senegal, but also think about those people who had the willingness to come forward but could not do so. With this note, I declare open the second high-level meeting on EDCTP2, and thank you for your kind attention.
Thank you.
Je vous remercie. J'ai maintenant le plaisir d'inviter Monsieur Victor Madeira dos Santos, qui représente
European Union to Senegal.
Thank you very much. Son Excellence, Madame la Ministre de la Santé, Professeur
Health, Professor Omar Coll-Seck, au nom de Madame Dominique Delcourt, ambassadeur de l'Union européenne ici au Sénégal, j'ai le plaisir d'être avec vous aujourd'hui et de prendre part à l'ouverture de la deuxième réunion de haut niveau sur le programme de partenariat EDCTP2. J'espère que je n'oublierai pas ce nom. Les invités éminents du secteur politique de l'Afrique montrent l'importance et le respect que l'EDCTP a gagné depuis qu'il a été créé en 2003 par l'Union européenne. Aujourd'hui, les pays européens, le partenariat entre l'Europe et l'Afrique sur les essais cliniques vise à créer de meilleurs médicaments contre les maladies liées à la pauvreté, et qui aggrave d'ailleurs la maladie.
tuberculosis and malaria. In particular, EDCTP helped and contributed to the strengthening of clinical research capacities in many African countries and promoted not only the cooperation between Europe and Africa, but in particular also collaboration and networking across and between African countries. So far, 30 sub-Saharan African countries were funded by EDCTP in partnership with research teams from Europe, national and international funders, public and private investors. EDCTP is a fine example of our desire in Europe to open research and innovation to worldwide collaboration. It has emerged as a wonderful success story of EU-Africa research cooperation and partnership. Let me now deduce some thoughts about this. Firstly, EDCTP is a true EU-Africa partnership based on shared interests, mutual benefits, and directed by the needs and opportunities identified by the African partners. There may be other areas of the EU-Africa partnership where the EDCTP concept could stimulate cooperation in support of sustainable economic development. Secondly, the political support from the individual African governments are key to pave the ground to sound regulatory governance and excellent clinical research capacities that remain and grow. Thirdly, develop new and better medicines does not mean immediately that they are accessible to people. To have an impact, there is a need that African governments engage in the outcome of clinical trials, adapt their national health policies, invest in new and better medicines, and to make them available through their own public health systems. This is of paramount importance. Ladies and gentlemen, in 2007 in Lisbon, the political leaders of Africa and Europe decided that it was time for the two continents to forge a new and stronger partnership that builds on their new identities and renewed institutions, to capitalize on the lessons of the past and to provide a solid framework for long-term, systematic and well-integrated cooperation. This resulted in a joint Africa-EU strategy as a political vision and a roadmap for the future cooperation and specific partnerships between the two continents in existing and new areas and arenas. These Africa-EU partnerships extend from peace and security over climate change to energy and even new technologies. Because there is a partnership on science and technology, the information society and space technologies. The EDCTP is actually already an Africa-EU partnership. It was an avant la lettre one. And the way it is organized as a cooperation between industry, NGOs, government, should serve as an example for the other more technical partnerships. The EU is renewing this EU-Africa partnership next year with a new conference that will reinforce this EU-Africa partnership, and a new financial envelope will be most probably decided. Ladies and gentlemen, with an impressive 5 to 6% growth forecast for this year, Africa is on the move and rising. I'm convinced that we can only harness Africa's potential to the benefit of its people if we connect Africa's future to the world economy and, of course, Europe. As the most important partner, is very much interested in the successful development of this country. Ladies and gentlemen, Africa has a unique richness in so many aspects, from its cultural diversity and heritage, its natural resources, and above all, its people. But for Africa to build its future, the future of the people today, and that of those of tomorrow, it needs poverty continues to be our end goal, and the European Union remains deeply committed to this objective. Africa and Europe have a collective responsibility to address the challenges of today and find sustainable solutions. The vicious circle of poverty and diseases needs to be interrupted, and the EDCTP is an important partnership to that end. Thank you very much, and hope we have a good meeting today. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed. It's my pleasure to invite Dr. Pascoal Mocumbi, our EDCTP High Representative and former Prime Minister of Mozambique, to give us his words.
Thank you, Chair, for giving me the floor. Honorable Anne-Marie Coll-Seck, my sister, distinguished African and European leaders, honorable ministers, members of EDCTP General Assembly, EDCTP key stakeholders, ladies and gentlemen, all protocol observed. First of all, I would like to express my great pleasure in welcoming you to this second high-level meeting on the second countries clinical trials partnership P. The objective is the way forward to direct participation of African countries in EDCTP. This will be addressed by keynote speakers and discussed by high-level representatives from African governments. Since its creation in 2003 to date, EDCTP has accomplished much. It supported 241 projects in 30 different sub-Saharan countries, involving 185 research institutions in Africa. It funded research projects with a total value of approximately 372 million euro. 133 clinical trials on HIV/AIDS, tuberculosis, and malaria were initiated. Moreover, EDCTP granted funding of 108 non-disease specific projects. For example, projects to strengthen the capacity of ethical review of health research. 73% of these projects are led by African researchers. EDCTP also supported the careers of 400 African researchers as senior fellows, postdoctoral researchers, or as students for PhD, master's, and bachelor's degrees. 4 regional networks of excellence based on the African regional economic communities are fully operational. Most projects are still ongoing. However, I would like to point out some first positive results that contribute to achieving the Millennium Development Goals. The Kesho-Bohr study of highly active antiretroviral therapy during pregnancy and breastfeeding demonstrated a 43% reduction in HIV infections in infants and more than 50% reduction of mother-to-child transmission during breastfeeding. The positive findings informed the current guidelines on the prevention of transmission of HIV from mother to child. The malaria treatment study called 4ABC was conducted at 12 trial centers in 7 sub-Saharan African countries, namely Burkina Faso, Gabon, Mozambique, Nigeria, Rwanda, Uganda, and Zambia. It showed that 3 novel artemisinin-based combination drugs were safe and efficacious in treating children with uncomplicated malaria. These results supported WHO recommendation on dihydropiperazine, called DHAP, as doctors like to use short list of pick of medicines. The severe malaria in children network demonstrated that 3 doses of an intravenous artesunate over 2 days are as effective as the regimen over 3 days. The study contributed to the development of a lower cost regimen with the potential to reduce the risk of incomplete treatment. The Chairperson trial in Zambia contributed to the FDA approval and WHO pre-qualification of Trimmune Baby Jr. as fixed drug combination formulation for the treatment of HIV in children. The gene expert tool for a rapid diagnosis of treatment-sensitive and rifampicin-resistant TB was successfully tested in a pilot study in Cape Town, South Africa. Now, it is recommended by WHO as a means to improve tuberculosis control by WHO. These examples demonstrate the potential benefits of a program like EDCTP in solving health problems of the poor, achieving global health targets. However, it is clear that many challenges still lie ahead. A program like EDCTP requires continuous political commitment and adequate allocation of resources, including funding. In 2008, a global ministerial forum on research for health met in Bamako, Mali, and called all governments to commit themselves to allocate at least 2% of national health budgets to research. Funders were called on to invest at least 5% of health sector aid to research. I challenge all African countries to respond to this call for action. African co-funding on the second phase of EDCTP will not only address the Bamako call for action, it will also demonstrate African political commitment to take charge of it. Delegates fruitful discussions on future strategies for strengthening partnership between Sub-Saharan Africa and Europe. Distinguished leaders, we are gathered here because more clinical research is needed in Sub-Saharan Africa. We should find a way or a mechanism to encourage effective African commitment and co-ownership of the second EDCTP program. I thank you for your attention.